This video is brought to you by Roller Ski Coach. Ski out your door, because skiing is skiing. Ski hard, ski often. Lifelong Olympic, working to create an endurance-based sport culture for all citizens of the Lower Hudson Valley and New York City metro area using all of the transport sports. We recreate, we commute, we make the planet proud. Portuguese cross-country skier Kequyen Lam, 2018 Winter Olympian at Pyeongchang, South Korea. Sosoy, become the motor. Hey folks, and welcome to a Roller Ski Coach video. We are at Storm King Mountain. We are not at the base completely, but we're slightly above the river, coming up Mountain Road, and we're very delighted to have been able to share a climb today with none other than Kequyen Lam. Kequyen Lam represented the country of Portugal in the 2018 Winter Olympic Games. He raced in the 15-kilometer cross-country skiing race, and we gave him a call and said, hey, would you like to come to New York and ski the Lower Hudson Valley? And that of course includes Central Park, because really the city just happens to be at the bottom of the Lower Hudson Valley. And he was curiously interested in coming to see how the roads and the terrain and the local area was for roller skiing. And this was one of the places that we brought him. Of course, it's our favorite lump, as we like to say. It's the biggest climb, along with Bear Mountain, that we can climb casually and get our training in cross-country skiing. And so he loved it. He came, and we made a lot of media, and you'll be able to see that on our channel soon. This is the first video that we're editing, and Kequyen also arrived to the area because there was a Newark, Portugal Day festival. And so during his stay, we also made a visit to the parade, and we attended for a few days and met the local folks. That was a great time, and he skied in the parade, guys, so there'll be a little media on that as well. There's no video, but there's really some great stills, and the people loved it quite a bit. So we're going to climb Storm King here, nice and casually, so that you can see how available the sport of cross-country skiing is in the Lower Hudson Valley area, in the Cornwall, Orange County area. And you may have never seen roller skiing before, so you ask yourself, who invented it? Where's it come from? So it was innovated. Roller skiing was innovated quite a long time ago, and you can go ahead and Google and check online and search, and you'll see people roller skiing in black and white vintage videos with all manner of wheels. They used to have roller skis that flexed in the middle. They had a hinge in the middle, and they had wheels as big as your head. And what you're looking at now are modern roller skis, and these devices come into the skiing era about 35 years ago. The wheels began to be this size, and the snow boots directly from skiing were brought straight onto them. And of course the ski poles are the same, but the tips at the bottom are very different. So the tips at the bottom of these skiers' poles aren't the same snow basket, and they're not even the same material that is used in snow. So they're carbide ferrule spikes, and you replace your snow basket and you sharpen up your carbide. Probably every 3 hours or so, or whenever you need to make them nice and sharp. You do it with a diamond file. You can't sharpen carbide with a regular wood file, and that engages the pavement. Pavement is soft, it's malleable, it's self-healing. You roll over it and It's like clay a little bit. And what destroys roads actually, and some of these roads are a little beat up, is expansion, contraction of heat and cold, and of course tonnage from pretty heavy vehicles. And that's the equipment, guys. So snow boots are the same. Those boots are the same boots that Kequyen used at the Olympics, and on roller ski coach Enrique Cubillo, he's wearing the same boots that he would wear on snow. There's a little bit of turbulence there as we were looking back, and when we hear some traffic, we just single it up, same as bicycles, and let them come on through. But these are relatively quiet roads. And speaking of roads, that jersey that Kequyen is wearing is Transportation Alternatives, and that's a mighty fine organization out of the New York City area that advocates for cycling and pedestrian traffic flow. And thanks for all they do. And thank you, Kequyen, for agreeing to do this summit ski with a little promotion for a mighty fine progressive nonprofit that advocates for the queen of all transport sports, cycling, and of course for friendly green spaces in urban living. And we've passed what we're passing now, I think, the Museum of the Highlands. It's a great museum if you ever want to visit. It's right here in Cornwall-on-Hudson. And bring some kids. They'll teach them about nature and the local environment here. So as I said, this isn't a speed record that we're doing. We're just demonstrating how casually skiing can be straight up this mountain. And we're using various strokes. As you can see, sometimes the strokes vary. Sometimes the legs push out to the side, and sometimes they don't. And when they don't, that's called double poling. And when they do, you can begin to do several different variations of skate 1 stroke, skate 2, V1, V2 they call it, also a V1 alternate, V2 alternate, and that's all technique. So the way in which these skiers are moving is very specific, and it's also very similar to swimming. So kinetics and the way that people propel themselves forward requires technique. And when you think of swimming and you think of swimming technique, there's 4 different strokes. And of course, there's no land to even register you underneath you. There's just water. You're kind of floating in this air. And of course, the pilot, the swimmer, needs to visually imagine the points at which their elbows and their wrists and their hands need to be, where their hips need to be, where their head and their neck and all of that. And that's technique. So essentially you're watching something very similar to swimming. These athletes need to constantly be monitoring how they're moving, and you might imagine that to be very similar to, say, a pilot in a wheelhouse of a boat. They need to imagine the tail end and the front end, and they need to worry about their navigation. And so sometimes even a couple people are helping. So in this sport, you need a couple people in the wheelhouse, and they need to be working on watching what's coming at you, and then they actually need to analyze and decide how it is they're going to roll over that particular terrain. Sometimes if you watch cross-country ski racing, the athlete will be asked, oh, well, how are you going to do today? And they'll always make reference to their technique, because unlike cycling, where technique, once it gets dialed in, more than likely it's never ever going to change. People's spinning abilities aren't that, here comes another car, we're going to let them straight on up, aren't that compromised by even how they feel. Technique sort of dials in. It's a fairly simple technique. It takes a little while to learn performance cycling, but once you got it, you got it. And in skiing, it's a little different. So your technique can waver from time to time because there's no saddle underneath your rump, and there's no pedals that you're clipped into. And it's, as I say, very similar to swimming. Your swimming technique can go out the window if your concentration is off. It's very difficult for your cycling technique to go out the window, mostly because your handlebars are supporting your hands and your seat is supporting your rump and your pedals are supporting your legs. So there's not that much navigational requirement in cycling. There's a little bit, but not anywhere near speed skating on ice or cross-country skiing or spikeboarding, which is a related sport that we also do here on the mountain, or inline skating. So form and technique are so important because the more degraded, the less efficient your form, the slower you're going to be. That's the way it's going to be, or the more uncomfortable you're going to be. So let's speak a little bit to performance and also to racing. So performance really doesn't mean racing. It can, so high performance is going to be good for racing. But performance really just means being efficient in your output. And if you're efficient in your output, that's when you're going to be comfortable. So you could be a performance athlete, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're stepping up to a race. A race forever and a day will mean very few things, and that just means that you've agreed to arrive and go from one point to another point against other individuals, and all agree to a certain set of rules that are going to be followed. And then one person will be declared winner when they reach point B faster than everybody else. And that's it. That's all that racing is. And you can be a very high performing athlete and never race a day in your life. And so we actually, in this sport, try to achieve a high performance of technique. And then, of course, once you have that technique, you can begin to build the motor. The idea in endurance sports is to become the motor. And if you can learn as many of the transport sports as possible, well, I'm going to tell you that you're going to be very happy and with the accomplishment, and your body will be incredibly happy with the accomplishment, because on a daily basis, without anybody around to play with you and engage in the activity, you will be able to speak to your body outside in the fresh air and apply load, guys. So this particular language, physical literacy, this transport sport, is all encompassing. That's the wonderful part about cross-country skiing, is that it encompasses the mechanical systems of the body, of strength. It produces strength, endurance, and balance. So the combo of those three is rare, especially when you consider full body. So full body sports are not too common at all. So full body propulsion sports. So mostly, especially with the upper body, we understand swimming in this country quite a bit. And that of course is very much a full body sport, and they break it down. So when they coach that sport, they pretty much just cut you right in half, and they work on leg technique, and they work on arm technique, arm and upper body. And they do that with pull buoys, and they do that with kickboards. And in skiing, it's no different. So you could have a beautiful leg action, and then you might not have everything synchronized quite as well. And you're going to have to break it down and work on it in that way. And here especially, you can see where the pavement is nice and smooth, how wonderful the technique of Kequyen Lam's is compared to our roller ski coach that has a few less years in him in regards to skiing. So it's got quite a ways to go to begin to really be effortlessly flawless in his skiing. And of course, that's because it takes a little while for the neurology to acquire the adaptation to glide over what is known as skinny skis. So skinny skis are what cross-country skiers use. And folks, cross-country skiing sometimes is referred to as Nordic skiing, but specifically it's Nordic cross-country skiing. So here's a little education in language that I can help you with. Language as how it pertains to skiing. So skiing divides into two camps primarily, and that is when the heel is connected to the ski. In other words, the heels don't lift away from the ski. That's called alpine skiing, and sometimes commonly referred to as downhill skiing. And the skis have steel edges on them, and they can dig into the snow and ice for turning. And everything else where your heel is disconnected is called Nordic skiing. And then inside of Nordic skiing, there's a little bit of subdivisions there, and you have Nordic jumping, and those are skis that are bound at the toe, just like cross-country skis. They're a lot longer and they're a lot wider, and the heel isn't connected. And then in telemark skiing, your heel is not connected. That would be considered Nordic skiing. And in ski mountaineering, when your heel is not connected, that also would fall into the Nordic skiing family. And that's the difference. So sometimes you hear alpine skiing and you hear Nordic skiing, and now you know the differences. This is a little bit of herringbone climbing straight up Deer Hill Road, and we were lucky to have Deer Hill Road without a bunch of gravel on top of it. We know they gravel it once or twice a season to get grip for the cars, and we're sort of lucky here to be able to have an Olympic skier skiing up with us on this section. And doesn't he make it look effortless, just straight up. And notice how the planting of his left pole is synchronizing perfectly with his leg. So it's a 3-point sort of stroke where both poles fall at the same time, and the one on the left falls exactly with his leg strike, and that gets you straight up these climbs. So that was easy. Popped right on over there. These pictures are beautiful. The sunlight is so nice coming through here. It's slightly late afternoon in Cornwall. We are in the month of June, early month of June when this was filmed, and this part of the climb really begins to get very nice. It gets a little more mountainous feel, and after that little climb we're going to have a little reprieve, little descent, and then we're going to get back to work here to make short work of this climb. So folks, if you live nearby, there's mountains, and whenever people live near mountains, they climb them. They climb them on bicycles, and they climb them climbing like rock climbing. So a little further north of here is the Shawanagunks. And let me interrupt right here and tell you, were you looking at Roller Ski Coach and the brake on the back? So rewind there, or keep a little lookout onto that right leg of his, and you'll notice that there's a little brake. And skis do have brakes, certainly they do. And if you begin to watch some of our videos, we'll demonstrate how brakes work. And when you have a brake on a ski, you want it to be incredibly light. There it is. You take a little peek at it, and it's a hand to heel deployed brake. In other words, at the waist there's a small belt, and then a line, very secure nylon line with a hard rubber handle. And from the hand to the heel, you're going to squeeze the plate, friction plate, down onto that rear wheel. And with time and some skill set, you will acquire the ability to begin to brake at 5 to 20, 25 miles an hour, and get yourself down these mountains. So with a brake, you can come down Storm King, and we will make a video and demonstrate to you how that's done. And that's how we do repetitions. So but let's get back to what I was saying with the Shawanagunks. Where there's mountains, you climb them, and you climb them in all the activities in which human beings can climb, beginning with rock climbing and cycling and running. Sky running is really big. All you cross-country runners, if you're watching this, I'm sure you've heard of sky running. And cross-country runners make great cross-country skiers. Look at that form. That's Olympic form, folks. That's Olympic form. So smooth, efficient, and add power to that, and that's what gets you to the Olympics. That's what will make you #1 skier for your country, and then have you representing your nation at a world level. Cross-country skiing, many countries don't do it, but something's happened recently, and that is that the world governing body of ski racing has made a rule change, and they've made a rule change where the accumulation of points towards going to the Olympics will be equal for roller skiing to snow skiing. And that's simply because it will allow the entire planet to begin to compete in cross-country skiing. Because this form, this movement, this technique is the exact same one that you would use on snow, guys. The exact same one. Now there will be one big difference, that roller skiing has friction. So there's friction from the wheel to the pavement, but there is no friction at all on snow. So you have to take the technique and then adapt to a frictionless environment, and a frictionless environment that is constantly changing its conditions. So you can go from pure ice to really sloshy, wet snow and everything in between, and that's going to feel a little bit different. But that adaptation doesn't take that long to get accustomed to, and once you go from the boots up, that's all going to be the same technique. So it's going to be your feet that are going to need to feel and react to different terrain. So that does happen in roller skiing, of course, but it's always friction. But you're going to go from really crocodile and bumpy to super smooth and pan flat glass, and your neurology just needs to get used to it. So when you get to snow, that's what you're going to have to do, but your technique will be the same. So the arms remaining at 90 degrees, 90 to 120 degrees, that's all going to stay the same. And your synchronization of your upper body and the stroke patterns, those will all be the same. And this is my favorite part of the climb, right here. It's the prettiest part, and it's the most serene and meditative. These little turns right here feel very mountainous, and of course there's not much traffic going up and down these hills, and you can really enjoy Storm King Mountain quite a bit when you come around here. And it will get a little bit steeper toward the top, and that's where you look forward to the work. Sorry, Kequyen, that jersey didn't fit you perfect, but hey, Transportation Alternatives is getting a really nice ride on Olympic athlete. So hopefully they'll enjoy that very much. Cross-country skiing, as I was saying, isn't practiced by many countries, and Kequyen is the second athlete from his country, Portugal, to compete at the Winter Games. And in 2018, there was a fairly large list, let's see if I can remember them all, of countries that sent one man to the 15-kilometer race for the very first time. India, Pakistan, Morocco, Lebanon, Tonga. You guys know where Tonga is? Sure. Way out by the Philippines and Australia, tiny little island. They sent a man. And Mexico and Colombia and Ecuador and Peru before them, a few Olympics before, also sent a man for the very first time. They sent men to the Olympics for the very first time. I'm going to repeat that. They sent men to the Olympics for the very first time. Now, if you're like me, first thing I said when I heard that was, well, how about the women? So it's wouldn't have been nice if they sent a man and a woman at the same time for the very first time. I don't think a country's ever done that. So the planet expatriates to this regional area, to New York and the lower Hudson Valley, in great numbers. That would mean that those people are living here nearby, and that a woman from each of those countries may very well be in the lower Hudson Valley right now, who doesn't know it, but she's going to go to the Olympics in 2022. We just need to find her and train her. And Kequyen is completely game to speak to people who have a desire to go to the Olympics the same as he did, one step at a time. So the points change is there, it's available, the qualification system is known to us, and with myself and another coach, Coach Dan Bowen, here in the regional area, we are looking for expatriated people who want to qualify for the Olympic Games and go to China 2022 and represent their nation cross-country skiing and do same as these 8 men did in Pyeongchang. And give us a call if you have some interest. Give us a call if you have some interest in participating and finding these people. So you don't necessarily have to want to roller ski, but wouldn't it be delightful to be in a group shot where you say, hey, that's me, and that situation that you're looking at would never have occurred had I not taken action and become a ski master, so to speak, of the regional area. So that's the situation, and that's what can happen. Over 140 nations do not go to the Winter Olympic Games in cross-country skiing. They don't go, they've never been. And now there's a rule change, folks, and sadly the rule change is really being instituted because of lack of snow. Isn't that sad, right? So our lack of snow conditions worldwide have led FIS, Federation International Ski, to realize that half of all the World Cup racing is happening on artificial snow, folks. Artificial snow. And so they realize, wow, we really need to begin to support roller ski. Otherwise, we may end up with no sport at all. Kequyen's taking a little breather there. Taking some sweat off his brow after we take that sweeping 180 switchback. And this pavement here has never been really that great, so we're sort of dancing around all over here, trying to get through it. Some of that tar gets a little tacky as well and sticky when it heats up, and it's a little technical in through this section. As we head towards nearing the end, there's only going to be one more slight switchback, and it's going to be steep, and then we'll be at the end. But getting back to the lack of snow, the Governing Federation of Skiing realizes that to keep cross-country skiing alive, we need to popularize roller skiing. And roller skiing is no different than inline speed skating. And if you think about inline skating, or what got popularized years ago as rollerblading, you don't think, oh gee, that's what speed skaters do in summertime. You think, wow, that's inline skating, rollerblading. It's a blast. It's really fun. And for many reasons, roller skiing sort of got set aside a little bit because of the beauty of skiing on snow. Participants of skiing never really quite put roller skiing forward as an activity in and of itself, to be done in and of itself. But I'm here to tell you that roller skiing is incredibly satisfying, and it's skiing. As I like to say, skiing is skiing. If I was to open my door in late December, in the middle of January, down off of Mountain Road, and there was snow, I wouldn't shed a tear because I wasn't going roller skiing that day. I'd go snow skiing, because skiing is skiing, and skiing is so comprehensive a sport of fitness that when you can't do it, your body cries out for it. And if there's snow, you're going to ski snow. So open your door and ski what's out your door. And in the Lower Hudson Valley, we have tremendous possibilities to ski. You're going to see more of them in our videos with Kequyen. We thank Kequyen so much for having shown up and demonstrating how right here on our local climbs. Skiing is skiing. Skiing out the door is possible. Roller skiing is possible. He is the first Olympic athlete, American, international, or otherwise, to come to this area and put himself in front of a camera and demonstrate to all the Orange County and Lower Hudson Valley people, as well as the planet, that roller skiing, American roller skiing, is so possible and so doable, and connected with some coaches, that the sport can begin to grow and it can begin to benefit field sport athletes especially. So if you're playing football, you're playing lacrosse, and you need strength and conditioning for your field sports, roller skiing is going to fit the bill. So if you need hand-eye coordination and functional strength development, roller skiing is going to fit the bill. And you will enjoy it a lot. You will get mesmerized and caught into the development of the stroke, and you are going to be released from your gym activities. So you start repeating Storm King 3 times and just include that in your lineup. I'm not saying you won't ever have to go into a gym, but it's going to help you stay lean and strong and functional. So coaches, local coaches, if you're watching the video, please understand that in no way, shape, or form will the sport steal your athletes. You'll never see them again. Consider cross-country skiing as a strength, endurance, and balance, hand-eye coordination development for all your field sport athletes. You will begin to see better results in your field sport activity when your athletes begin to use roller skiing as a way to greater fitness. These pictures are beautiful near the top. It's lovely when the backlight comes through and we're headed towards the last turn and the last little effort, the steepest part of this section. We are going to end not at the very top, of Storm King. Oh, there's a little hang up right there. We spiked our own ski, got hung up just a little bit, and that gets back to the navigation in your mind. Also, there's a lot of little pebbles right there, so that's all great agility. You want to increase your agility skill set going up, and got a little too close to the curve there. So here we are nearing the top. A little double poling action there, and we're not going to go to the very top. As I was saying, that would mean that we need to do a little bit of a descent, and that's kind of complicated going down that other side, because Kequyen didn't have a brake on. If you have a brake, you can actually summit all the way up to the Storm King Mountain, and respect being given to where respect is due. Here comes Kequyen popping up here, and folks, if you enjoyed this video, please shoot a thank you note out to Kequyen. We'll put a link to his video, to his website, and invite him back, so he'll come on back, and maybe he'll show up at the library and give some lectures in person. It's a very special thing that this athlete is doing alongside roller ski coach, to begin to promote cross-country skiing. And all you other Olympic cross-country skiers, Americans included, please come and visit the Lower Hudson Valley area and begin to show the folks that skiing is skiing, and skiing right out your door is so possible. And of course, all the nations that haven't gone to the Olympics, let's send you. What a tremendous form, tremendous athlete. Incredible. Thank you so much, Kequyen Lam, for coming to New York, and we hope you'll be back soon. So ski hard and ski often, and skiing, it's the sport of gods. It's a beautiful sport. Thanks, Kequyen. We'll see you the next time, man. Come on out, guys. Come on, ski hard, ski often. Sosoy, become the motor.